Welcome to Cooking with Katerina. Today I'm going to show you my easy pizza and Italian bread recipe. And guess what? I have a special guest to help me, so stay tuned to find out who that is. Let's get started. Today I'm going to take you through step by step how to make an easy pizza and Italian bread recipe. Make sure that you wash your hands, take off your rings because it can get a little messy. In order to have a really good pizza, you have to start out with the base, and that is your pizza dough or your Italian bread dough. So here are the ingredients you're going to need. You'll need 2 packages of dry rapid rise yeast, a half a teaspoon of sugar. You're going to need a total of 3 cups of water, but we're going to use a half a cup of very warm water in with our yeast and our sugar. 2.5 cups is going to go into the bowl where we're going to add 1.5 teaspoons of salt, 3 tablespoons of oil, and I have 8 cups of flour here with a cup in reserve. Now, it all depends on the weather as to how much flour you're going to need, because if it's humid, you'll probably need a little more flour. And I use bread flour. I have found that it does make a difference. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add our sugar to the 2 packages of yeast and our very warm half a cup of water. And we're going to let that activate for about 5 minutes. Once you see it bubbling, we'll be ready to go. The next step is putting the rest of our ingredients together. We're going to stick in our salt and our oil, and then we'll add our 2.5 cups of water. That is the remainder of what our total of 3 cups is. And we're going to start adding our flour in this. Just in case the water is a little too hot, you want to cool it down with the flour. So I'm going to start adding some of this flour. And then we're going to add our yeast. And as you can see, it is foamed up really nice. So that means we're ready to go. And we'll put this in here and we'll start mixing all these ingredients together, and we'll add more of the flour as we go along. So we can mix this up, get that going good, and then start adding more flour. And you can feel the texture of the liquid, and the flour will start getting thicker. You want to make sure that you mix that really good. And like I said, it may vary a cup by what the weather is like. If you have your air conditioner on, it won't make too much of a difference. So we will add some more of this flour. And then we'll be ready to knead here shortly. I'll add the rest of my flour in. And we will start kneading the dough. And you'll mix it really good. And once I get this all kneaded, I will come back and we'll be ready to put it to rise. I only needed the 8 cups of flour, and I still have my 1 cup in reserve, but we're going to hold on to that because we'll probably use it when we're rolling out the dough. And as you can see, I've kneaded my dough, and as I kneaded it, I kind of scraped the sides. So this is ready to go and to be put for its rising. So we're going to take this out of the bowl, and I have a couple tablespoons of oil that I'm going to put in the bowl, and then just kind of use your hands and scrape it around the bowl so that you're covering the entire bowl all the way up the sides too. So then I'm going to take this dough and place it in my bowl and flip it over so we make sure that the entire dough ball is covered in oil. And then I do what my mother always did. I make the sign of the cross whenever I make bread. And we are ready to cover it with either plastic wrap or a cloth, whichever way you prefer, and let it rise for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. So when that is done rising, we will be back. Hey, now's the perfect time while your bread dough is rising to get all those pizza toppings ready. And don't forget, I have a special guest that's going to come and show us how to make a perfect pizza. So stay tuned. As you can see, our dough has doubled in size, so we're ready to go. But before we make the pizza, we're going to form our dough into 2 loaves. We're going to take out enough of the dough to make 2 loaves of bread before we make the pizza, because it's going to have to rise for at least a half an hour until it's doubled in size. And you can see I have a greased cookie sheet that I'm going to place it on. So you're going to kind of eyeball this, and we'll take some of this dough and I'll put some flour down. And like I like to do is spread it around. Then I will take my rolling pin and kind of roll it around the flour, because you want flour on your rolling pin. And here we go. We're going to kind of take that dough ball and kind of knead it in there. And then we'll take our rolling pin and flip it around. And what we want to do is we're getting out all the air bubbles that are in the dough. And this is the way I do it. You want to kind of stretch out that dough so that when we roll it up, it's going to form a really nice loaf of bread. So you can almost hear those bubbles breaking up in the dough. So once you have that all in the shape that you want it, then we're going to take this and we're going to roll it, not too tight, but tight enough. If you don't roll it tight enough, you're going to have an air bubble that'll form and there'll be a hole in your bread. So you want to make sure that you have it rolled tight enough not to get that air bubble in it. And I kind of tuck in the sides and then place it on the pan. And I take my knife and kind of just make a couple marks like that in it, as you can see. And we'll let this rise. I'll put a cloth over it and let it rise. So I'm going to complete the second one, and then we'll be ready to make our pizzas. Okay, I have both of my loaves ready and on the pan. I'm going to cover it with a cloth and put it in a warm place to rise, as I said, for about a half an hour, or at least until it's doubled in size. So now, the time that you have been waiting for, my special guest. He's known as Pizza Man around here. My husband, Donnie.
Thanks, Katerina, for those kind words. Just want to, if everybody's enjoyed this video so far, could you do us a big favor and smash that like button? We'd really appreciate it. So today we're going to make two 14-inch pizzas. We're going to make one with sauce or red, and we're also going to make a white pizza. So I'm going to walk you through the steps and give you some little tips and tricks along the way. So first off, since Katerina already made the dough, we're all ready to go there. I'm just going to take a little flour. We're going to spread it on the counter, so make sure that the dough doesn't stick to the counter. Now, I'm just going to kind of eyeball this based on me doing thousands and literally thousands of pizzas. Okay? And then we're going to take this dough and we're going to round it up a little bit. But don't worry about it. If you make the dough, if you don't take enough dough the first time, you can just cut some additional dough off of it, spread it on top, and just work it right together there. So I'm just pushing the dough down here, and I'm just getting it kind of round. You know, it doesn't have to be perfect. Don't worry about that. So now we're going to flip it over. Then we can take our rolling pin, put a little extra flour on there, and we're just going to roll it out a little bit so we can get it to the size that we need it. Okay, and that's not too bad there. But I also want to use what's called a dough docker. And this is a dough docker. Now what this does, it takes and eliminates all the air pockets that might be in your pizza. If you ever made pizza and you have a big side, a big bubble that's sticking up and baking it, and there's nothing in there, well, this will help pop those out. It's a little noisy, so just bear with me. Let's do that on that side. We'll flip it over, and we'll do it on this side. And this is a real handy tool. I've been doing this, like Katerina said, 35 years. My brother used to have a pizza shop many, many moons ago, and that's where I learned about the dough docker. Don't worry, I'm going to put a link down in the bottom with a description of everything that we have. And just for full transparency, it's going to be an affiliate link, so we will make a small commission on it if you decide to purchase any of these things, but it doesn't affect the price that you pay. So, all right, we got that out of the way. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take our pan, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to slap the dough out. So I'm just going to have my open hands like this, and what that's going to do is help stretch the dough too to get it to where we want it to be. You just take the dough like this, and then take it from hand to hand, and then give it a little pull so you can stretch it, so it stretches out like that. Okay? Put your hand through it, don't worry about it. And you can spin it up in the air if you want to make it a little bit fancier. So what we have now is we have the dough here, and if you got it too small or too big, too small you can just slap it out a little bit more. If it's way too big, you can just cut off the dough around the sides, and you can just incorporate that into your to your next pizza. Okay? So we get it, make sure it fills up the pan nice. And if you get spots like this here, this one's a little bit thin in this one spot, don't worry about it. Nobody's going to see it, first of all. You just take a little dough and you stretch it out like this, and you put it over that thinner area, and voila. No more thin area. Okay, so now we got that one done. Now, this is what I like to call the blank canvas. Well, before we get to the blank canvas, we got to get sauce on the pizza. So now you can put as much or as little sauce on it depending on how you and your family like your pizza. We like a good amount of sauce. So you just put the sauce here, use your spoon, and you bring it out to the edges. So you're going to make a crust here with the sauce. And that's going to be kind of your guideline for the toppings. So we just work it all the way around here, as you can see. We just spread it around and bring it out. We want to make a nice crust. Need it a little bit more, which is fine. We want to make a nice crust, but not too big. Okay? So we just continue all the way around the pizza, all around the shell, excuse me, not shell. We don't use shells around here. All around the dough. And just get that sauce all the way out there. And like I said, that's going to be your guide for your toppings. All right, so that seems to be pretty good the way we like it. So we'll set that aside. Now we got mozzarella cheese, and I only use mozzarella cheese, 100% mozzarella. I don't use any blend. Use a mozzarella provolone blend. It's greasier, so your pizza will end up greasier. So just use 100% mozzarella cheese. Now, I lay the cheese down as a base. You want to put your hand around the outside of it, right where the sauce is meeting the crust, so you can keep the cheese off the crust. And you just go around like this, all the way around. Sometimes you end up getting your side of your hand in the sauce, but that's okay. It's the fun part about making a pizza. So, put this all the way around. Then we put a generous amount in the middle. Again, you can put as much or as little cheese as you like. If you like a different kind of cheese, if you want to use New York Sharp, that's totally up to you, whatever you want to do. So, we got enough cheese on the pizza, so that's looking pretty good there too. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to make a pepperoni for this one. Now, this little trick, a little trick, tips and tricks, I'm getting them all mixed up. But anyways, when you start your toppings, make sure you start them far enough on the outside of the pizza. So you want to put your toppings down and have that pepperoni touching the crust, okay? The problem, what most people do when they make pizzas at home is they don't bring their toppings far enough out on the edge, because as the pizza bakes, all those toppings have a tendency to slide to the middle of the pizza if you don't bring it out far enough. Then you end up with a pizza in the middle, has all your toppings and nothing around the outside. So then you just put these all the way around. I do the perimeter first, just all the way around. If if you don't like this much pepperoni, then put less. It's okay. And this is the blank canvas. Like I said, we can do anything with this. We can put just pepperoni, we can put sausage, mushrooms, onions, jalapenos, pepper rings, whatever you want, whatever your family likes. Pepperoni, sausage, okay? So, and another thing another tip I'd like to give you is the more toppings you put on a pizza, if you're putting 4 or 5 toppings on it, you put way less. Like if I'm putting 5 toppings on here, I probably put half the amount of pepperoni that I have on here, because if you try to put too much of everything of all the toppings on one pizza, it's going to take, number one, too long to cook. You're probably going to end up burning it on the bottom and not getting it cooked on top. And so by putting less of each topping in, it actually makes the flavors meld together better. So that's another good tip for you. So what we do is I don't remember if I told you or not, but I put my oven on 450 degrees. And what we're going to do is we're going to put this in there for about 10 minutes and check it. And the reason being is that every oven is a little bit different, and whether you have a convection oven or a conventional oven, you still have hot spots in there, especially with a convection oven, because it has that fan blowing from the back. And like when you put any food in there, or even a pizza, when that fan's blowing that hot heat against the inside of that door, that heat is hitting that door and reflecting back on your food. So let's say it's in the oven, it's in the oven this way. This part of the crust is going to cook faster than the other one. So you may have to turn your pizza, a quarter a turn or a half a turn. You can tell when it's cooking. So we're going to get this one in the oven, and then we'll start the white pizza. I'll show you how to do that. All right? So stay tuned. All right, everybody, I forgot to tell you regarding the red pizza, or the pizza with sauce. Now, this is not a paid promotion, at least not yet. I personally love this sauce. This brand is called De Fratelli sauce. It's all natural. They grow their own tomatoes. It's made in Ohio, around the Toledo area, and that's available also in the link that you'll see in the description. But we love it because it has more of a low acid tomato that they use. It's kind of their private blend that they made. So anyways, we just love this sauce. It's always good. It's no artificial colors, flavors. Got vitamins in it. It's vegan, and that's all I got to say about that. So now we're gonna make a white pizza here, real quick. So all we use is I use olive oil. I use salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, oregano, and then some toppings. So I don't have any of this measured out. I usually don't do it. Just put a generous amount of olive oil right on your crust. Okay, and you know we want to make sure that there's a good amount on there, and then you just use your fingers, rub it around. And again, we're going to kind of make a border for our cheese and our toppings, so we have a crust on there. So that's all we do there. Just rinse my hand real quick. And you know, there's so many different ways people make white pizza, but this is the way I like it, and I really enjoy it. So now we take our oregano, and we're going to sprinkle it. All these toppings, we're going to sprinkle, all these seasonings, we're going to sprinkle right on top of the olive oil. Now, as you can see, I'm kind of doing it like I do the cheese, and I'm pinching the oregano, squeezing it, because the reason you do that is that helps to release the flavor of the oregano, because ground oregano, dried oregano, is stronger than fresh oregano. And that's, you know, it's kind of concentrated flavor. So when it's dry like that, you rub it, and then it releases more flavor. So just another tip. So, okay, we're just going to put a little bit more on here. Again, that's the way you like it. You know, however your family likes it, that's the way you need to do it. So, got that done. Now we're going to put some garlic powder on here. Don't use garlic salt, we use garlic powder and onion powder. So we're just going to spread a generous amount on there of that. And this is the onion powder. We're going to do the same thing there, just all the way around the pizza. Right in the middle as well. We're going to get some black pepper on there. Oh, this is so good. And the dough, I don't know if you noticed or not, but I made it a little bit thinner than the other red pizza because we like it a little bit thinner, but not too thin. So put a little salt on here. Okay, now we're ready. So now the base is done. So we take our mozzarella cheese, do the same thing again. Cup our hand on the side. Just run it right around the pizza like that. Spin that pie around as needed. Bring that all the way over. And you do the perimeter first, and then you fill in the middle with the rest of it. And again, you can add more cheese or less cheese depending on how you like it. Okay, now this time what we're going to do is we're going to put sausage. This is mild Italian sausage, okay, that we just browned and cooked up in a pan. So it's been cooled off. So you just take your handful and go right around here, doing the same thing over and over again, but with different toppings. So, and put a little bit more on there. You know, I don't know about you guys, but I just love pizza. I love making pizza. I enjoy watching people eat the pizzas that I make. So this is definitely a labor of love for me. So we're going to we got the sausage on there, so now we're going to put on some, these are mild pepper rings. We don't like things too spicy, but if you like jalapenos, you like spice, put jalapenos on there. Be careful. Don't put too much. Doing the same thing as we did on the pepperoni, we want to make sure, that we have toppings over the entire pizza, and that we start far enough out on the edge, because we don't want everything in the middle. All right, and now what we're going to put on there, we had a few Kalamata olives that my wife pitted and sliced for me, so we're going to just spread those around. Again, you can put whatever you want on here. You know, if you like ham, put ham on here. If you like meatballs, cut some meatballs and put on there. You know, again, it's a blank canvas. You can do what you want with it. All right, so what else? Feta. So we're going to add some feta because we like feta. So you're just going to take it and kind of crumble it as you're going around, just like kind of like what I did with the oregano. And just break it up and make sure you come out to the edge as well, not just in the middle. If you get a little bit on the edge, don't worry about it. It's nothing major. But this is the fun part, is creating the pizzas. And that looks pretty good to me. I don't know about you guys, but I'm really hungry. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna get these, I got the pepperoni pizza in the oven. When that's done, we'll put the white pizza in the oven, and then we'll come back and do the taste test. So hang around, we're almost to the end.
As you can see, the bread rose for about 30 to 35 minutes. We're ready to put it in the oven. You'll put it in the oven at 425 degrees for about 20-25 minutes. You want it to have a nice golden color. And then we'll have the great reveal. Well, as you can see, we have 2 beautiful pizzas and 2 loaves of delicious bread. And I might add that at Thanksgiving, I like to make the bread, and we decided a few years ago that we'd make some pizza for lunch. So you might want to think of that. But now it's time to taste test.
All right, you do the white, I'll do the red.
Sounds good. Mmm.
Oh my,
So good.
delicious. Sorry, I took too big of a bite. But anyways, thank you for watching
Yes.
our video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't done so far, please like, subscribe, hit that like button to smash that like button, and subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified every time we upload a new video. There'll be some videos popping up on the screen here. You might want to check those out. I'm sure you'll enjoy those as well. Well, we appreciate you being here, taking your time out of your day, and as always, keep on cooking.